Hey everyone, it's 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗓𝗖𝗓 here. Today I'm going to be talking about fighting life. I used to live in this constant state of feeling that I needed to fight my own life. And that feeling would just be everywhere and it would manifest itself in everything that I did. I used to wake up thinking, I need to fight, I need to fight, I need to fight. Everything is hard, everything is a struggle. And when I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and I started thinking about that mindset and where that came from and why I thought that I needed to fight, and everything that I had gone through in life, that I thought it was a fight. And I realized that, and there is lots of talks about fighting cancer, right? You've got to fight cancer, you've got to fight cancer, you've got to kill this thing that's inside of you. You've got to destroy this thing that it's inside of you. And for the first time I stopped and I looked at my situation, although I didn't have a tumor inside me anymore because I had an emergency surgery. I was about to have 12 sessions of chemo to wipe out any other cells if there was anything in my body. So in reality, I did not know if there was anything else in my body. But that mentality of fighting no longer served me, and I couldn't fight anymore. I was tired. I was exhausted. I couldn't even begin to think about fighting another thing. And when I started thinking about where that mentality came from, I come from Brazil originally, that third world country mentality, life is harder, the government is corrupt, things, it's much more difficult because, you are basically on your own in regards to, everything like health, and, it's not a secure place to live in. You can't just go outside and walk to the park, and all of those feelings for me was like, and acknowledging that, that way of living, it wasn't my reality anymore. There was a pattern that I had created to live like this. And then, when I was a teenager, my dad lost everything and we were fighting in court with his family to, because there was this massive issue around the businesses they had together, and we spent lots and lots of years fighting. Again, that wasn't my reality anymore. I had created a different reality. I lived in Australia. I have 2 beautiful kids. I had an amazing husband. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I had a good job. I had created, and I had friends. I had created a different reality. So what was I still fighting? The other day I was talking to a client about that, and it was so interesting because she lives in a completely different country. She's in Slovakia, and she lives in a very different culture and place that I have ever lived. I lived in Europe in 6 other countries, but like not in any of the Eastern European countries. And it was very interesting that she also had this mentality and this mindset of, I need to fight life. The thing is, when you are fighting, and every day you're fighting and you're fighting and you're fighting, if you think you're a warrior, if you think you're in a war and you are every day fighting, you're going to run out of steam. You're going to run out of fuel. You're going to run out of energy. And this is what happened to me. Physically, my body was deteriorating. I had created sickness in my body, disease, because I was constantly in the fighting mode. Even though, most of my days, I didn't have to fight anything. All of the things that I had gone through in life, perhaps, there was some very uncomfortable moments and things that, I had to go through. There was, a fight, if you like, but really the reality that I had created was no longer a fight. Besides, I realized this had been already, regardless of when it started and how it started, it had become a pattern. It had become such a pattern that it was so ingrained in me that in every situation I saw that situation as me versus that person, me versus that situation, me against the world. And again, that was exhausting. That was so tiring, and that was again just making my body sick. This is such, I believe that there is a lot of people living in this state, this mental state of fighting, even though that they are not fighting anything. They have created this pattern over and over again to fight. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is plenty of places in the world that are very difficult and challenging to live right now. But I really believe that it gets to a point and to a stage that it becomes such a pattern that unless you recognize it, you can't break that pattern. I decided to embrace cancer instead of fighting it. I decided to embrace my journey, every bit of it, the physical pain, the emotional uncertainty, the fear, all the ups and downs that I had, which I had many, going to chemo, being sick 24/7. I decided that I was not going to fight anymore. I was going to embrace it all with my open arms, surrender. And chemotherapy, it was 7.5 months of my life. And it was probably one of the most special times that I have ever lived. I spent all my time looking after myself, practicing self-love practices, like really focusing on me fully. Even though, I had kids already and my husband, I had this beautiful opportunity to connect to myself, to learn how to love myself, to learn how to stop fighting life. I realized also that in that state of fighting life, I was fighting fighting the power that I was given and the pursuit of my purpose. I spent most of my life going from one thing to another, too busy fighting without making conscious decisions about what I really wanted out of life. And cancer can be very helpful with that, because it's in your face that you have a very limited amount of time, and you need to make a conscious decision about how you're going to spend the rest of your life. So once I stopped fighting with life and I started embracing, I started connecting to myself and to my inner power and to my purpose and what I came here to do, which is this. Is to empower people, to get them to believe that they can take ownership of their health and their life. I had been in a career for 10 years doing recruitment, which is still working with people, but no, that wasn't my purpose. That wasn't why I came here. That wasn't really my life purpose. And it took me cancer, it took me embracing that journey to understand and to accept and to embrace my power, my mission, my purpose, so I could be here today. When you stop fighting, you open up space inside you, in your body, in your mind, in your heart. When you stop fighting, you are able to create positive patterns that are not destroying your physical body, that are not killing your positive thoughts and your illusions and your dreams. If you are living in that place of constantly fighting, I invite you today just to think about, where does this come from? Am I still in that place? Is that still my reality? And if not, have I created this pattern and I'm just, riding this bicycle and not even thinking about anymore how I respond to the world and how I respond to different situations? Because it takes us to be conscious about what's going on in our lives to change what we are not happy with. If in fighting with life, it's not sustainable. It could potentially sustain you to so long, like it did me. But it will get to the point that it will really manifest in your physiology, in your physical body. And this is my message today. Don't let that time to come. You can do a lot of things before that happens. Take your power back and your responsibility and take action towards changing this negative pattern that it's just this constant fight. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you feel that there is anybody out there that really needs to hear this message, share this video with them. And if you want to know more about my work, there is some links below that you can check it out as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.